Hey y'all, this is Thomas with Project Portland. We're planning a church in Portland, Oregon, and we're starting the podcast to talk about it. You can follow along. I hope you'll join us in our journey as we talk about the things that we learn while we're planting. And I have special guests, friends in ministry along, that talk about the behind the scenes of what it's like to take the gospel to a new place. Hey everyone, welcome to Planting Portland. My name's Thomas, and we are planning a church in Portland, Oregon. We started this podcast to have discussions around church planting and life, and sometimes I get to interview my special friends. Today I have a friend of mine from my sending church that we get to have a real sweet conversation, so I'm super thankful to have Chris Allred to the podcast. Chris, why don't you say hi?
Hi.
Why don't you tell us, what are we doing here? How do we know each other?
That's about an 8-year journey. I arrived at Oakland Heights in 2015 and got into student ministry in 2016, and then got a youth pastor over me in 2017, and that's where our relationship began. I remember that. I remember meeting you at Joe's house. I think you just had Bingham, and he was your only kid. You were 31, and I was like, that guy is like, he's a full adult. I was in my early 20s. And I was just excited that I had a youth pastor coming, somebody that could lead me. Was new in student ministry and leading the middle school ministry and didn't know what I was doing. So I was really excited when you came along. I remember your first week was at that retreat. We did that end of summer at Chaco Spring. We had some rooms left over, and I wanted to take the students somewhere, get them off campus and hang out.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So when we started getting to know each other, kind of, I just told Joe at the time, he was the pastor there, and I didn't have a youth pastor. So I went to his office and said, I think our students are starting to be friends with each other. We got something good going on. We need to go somewhere for a weekend, something. And he had tried kind of like what Midtown out in Kansas City does, the all family. I think they call it the all-family retreat. Yeah. And I don't think it got any traction with us, but we had some leftover rooms at Chaco Springs, and he said, you could use those. And so I got with one of the other pastors that was on staff at the time. I said, I don't think we have enough middle schoolers to fill that up. And he said, let's take high school too. So you wound up being our speaker when I think we were already planning that. And then with knowing that we were hiring you and the timing of that, we made you our retreat speaker.
Yeah. Yeah. I started at Oakland Heights. I landed in Georgia, and then within that weekend, I was preaching a retreat before I even had a house. It's just like,
I remember that was like the student's first introduction. He was like, "This is our camp speaker, also it's your new youth pastor."
Right. Yeah. What a wild ride! I mean, that's kind of been typical of the things that I've done anyway. Hey, I'm moving to Portland. Let's sell our house and figure out how to get there. And I guess I didn't plan either of those. But anyway, so we got our start in student ministry and did that for a while together before I came here. You're here for the weekend visiting, right? So when my friends are in town, I'm like, hey, let's talk with microphones on. It's too late at night. We're drinking coffee. We're just like, hey, let's have a conversation, But I'm thankful for you, man. You've been faithful. I remember when you were in middle school, I was in high school. We first started meeting up for like ministry accountability, like, hey, what's going on in your ministry, and teaching, calendar, schedule, all that sort of thing. And then from there till now, like you're a full grown man now, right?
I hope.
Yeah. So what's that been like for you? You were serving in student ministry at Oakland Heights, and now what's your life like today?
It's I've been likening it to like the grandparent stage in ministry. It's like I'm becoming a grandparent. I've been doing student things for 9 years. I've been hands-on with the kids, middle school, high school, small group leader. Even after I became pastor, I was still a small group leader in high school. So I've had my hands on the students and been personally investing in their lives. So now I've got leaders over all those ministries. And after camp, I stepped out of being a grounded student ministry or high school ministry leader. Now I'm overseeing those leaders, and my relationships are with my leaders more than this. And I still have the students I hang out with, I talk to them and all those things, but my relationship is primarily with my leaders now, and I'm watching them get their hands on the students and lead them. And so it kind of feels like, when my dad went from being a dad to us to being dad to other dads, it kind of feels like that. my conversations revolve around leading them as they lead students, teaching them how to be a dad,
right?
In ministry. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So your chair that you sit in now, what's your ministry responsibility? What do you oversee?
So my title is In-Reach Pastor, and that's super vague because I have a lot of stuff at our church. We have Know, Grow, and Go are the three segments of our mission statement for our church, or our vision statement. And so I have all the Know ministries that are focused on helping people know Jesus. And a lot of that is very focused on ministering to our body. So I've got from all student ministries, babies to college. And then I've also got men's and women's ministry, things like our care ministry, where we have people who care for our members with special needs. We have ushers, deacons, all those things. Our connections ministry, all of those things are now under my oversight. So youth pastor is what a lot of people know me as, because it's one of the hats that I wear, but I've got a lot of ministries and a lot of leaders that I get to spend time with and invest in. So it keeps me busy, but that's what my new role is. It's overseeing all those leaders and helping to resource and lead them as they thrive in their ministries.
Yeah, that's sweet. So you have a huge amount of responsibility, right?
Yeah, it feels that way anyway.
Kids to college plus a men's and women's ministry, and it's a lot of things. Yeah.
And it's cool. It is a lot, but we've also got a lot of really faithful people. So sometimes it doesn't feel like a lot because so many people are carrying different loads that I don't have to carry. But it's mostly the people that I feel the weight of. It's the leaders that I have. Honestly, I don't know everything that goes on in these ministries, and there's a lot that happens that I don't touch or see. But I try to have my hands on my leaders and know how they're doing, and make sure that they know what they're doing, and be in the loop as much as I need to be. I try not to be ignorant of what's happening, but certainly I don't have to micromanage, and I try not to. Just try to stay out of what I don't need to be in, and just allow them that space, which is something that you and James have always done really well with me. You've given me some domain to play around and learn how to lead, learn how to fail and fail forward, learn how to come up with ideas and try them out without being micromanaged. So I'm trying to pay that forward too.
Yeah.
And let them grow inside their little tanks as much as I can.
So your world is like dramatically different than church planning, right?
Yes,
You're like entrenched in structured, let's say big church compared to what we're doing. Definitely big church.
Yeah. I have an already well-oiled machine that's at my fingertips. I've got all the resources that, a church plant covets. I'm very blessed in that, but I've got a lot of people, a lot of resources, a lot of developed leaders, things that a church plant doesn't usually have a ton of. So it's a very different dynamic.
Yeah. So we're talking today. Why are we talking?
Because I'm here hanging out.
Not just that, but I left, our team left our sending church where you still are, right? And you got to stay home while we went. And there's a consequence of planting churches, right? That when we go, other people have to fill in the gaps. So we were able to ordain you as a pastor,
right,
in my stead. And then we took off, right?
Yeah.
And left you with, I wouldn't say picking up the pieces, because the ministry was fine. Yeah. It was healthy, but still a new pastor, juggling new responsibilities, getting your arms around what are my ministries, who are my leaders, and new leaders, even as we brought your brother David here. And David was over children's ministry, which is your world, had a new leader come into children's ministry. So you got to see the aftermath of what's it look like for churches to plant churches. We didn't exactly have a super professional, hey, you went to church planting college, then you went and planted a church. It was like you were on staff here, then you took people and left on purpose. And then now people like you are picking up the pieces from that. So what's that experience been like?
It's been a big learning experience. It's been really cool, but also at times pretty challenging. There's been a lot of learning for me. Like you said, I was ordained 2 replace you, so to speak. As we knew we were sending you out, my ordination really was to fill that void. And I think God just aligned the timing of it. But with that, I've had to learn a lot of stuff without having you, the guy that was over it before me, there with me to help me sort that out. And even high level leaders like, my brother, David Allred, and his wife, Lauren McCaig, Jay Sticka, they were all very involved in the ministries that I still oversee, and particularly David and Lori, overseeing kids ministry as a whole, not just our Sunday morning, but our Awana program, all of that. So to have the pastor over kids ministry and the kids ministry leader and Lauren McCaig, one of their high level leaders, we lost a lot of high level leaders to this church plant. And those were high level leaders in that ministry, a ministry I had zero experience in. I think I helped in a VBS classroom once. It's about the extent of my kids ministry experience. So it was intimidating to know that there wasn't even like a high level leader to ask questions to. It was like there was no one. So it cost a lot to send the Portland team. Leadership wise, also, David Allred's my brother. I tell people that when we sent the Portland team, that I lost two brothers to that. We shared an office together. We co-labored in the trenches, and almost every ministry battle, and every ministry, memory that I have involves you, from almost the very beginning. And so, it was costly. And, Lauren and Jay are my wife's two closest friends. It feels as though her major social circle all left. But in the wake of that, it forced me to depend on the Lord, and it forced all of our leaders to depend on the Lord and to step up. And that's been really cool. I felt the intimidation of, and I got to step into Thomas's shoes and David's shoes. And we brought another leader into David's shoes that was looking at me for leadership. And I was like, bro, heck if I know, you know more than me. I'm here. I'm praying for you. And we're just trying to figure some things out. And, but through all of it, God was faithful. And it's been really cool to watch those leaders step up into those gaps. And they recognized there's no one to lean on. The Allreds aren't going to step in and do anything. Lauren's gone. And the new leader was having to figure things out too. And they recognized his need for their support. They recognized my need for their support, and just the level of submission and support that we got was incredible from our people. So I think in a lot of ways, though it was challenging, it was necessary for our church, for the people that are now in those places. I think they all needed you guys to leave, because it forced them to step up in ways that they wouldn't have had the confidence or the need to step up. So it's been tough, but it's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
In fact, as I look back on it, I don't know if it's entirely accurate to say every major ministry leader has turned over, but I think every ministry that falls underneath my oversight has a new leader since you guys left. From nursery / preschool, we call that Sprouts, kids ministry, middle school, high school, college, connections, they all have brand new leaders over the past year or so. So there's been a lot of turn, and that's not all negative. A lot of that is just the effect of sending. It's that domino effect of you disciple, you train, you send. And so, just like in sports, in college sports, your seniors and whoever gets drafted is gone, and those next guys have to step up. And so I've really recognized the need for a deep bench. And that's on my whiteboard, deep in the bench. That's kind of been my mantra. I got to deepen the bench in my ministries, because we're looking at Atlanta. We got a guy living in Atlanta, Daniel Reed. He's there. Just visited him last week and met his new baby boy.
Nice.
And he's there. And so we've probably got another wave. God's going to likely call some people out. And the first wave cost us a lot. And so I know the second one will too. So I'm trying to deepen that bench and make sure that no one's resting. No one's getting a bye week. I'm not sitting people aside to put in the polished new guy or the polished experienced guy. I'm trying to force everyone into some discomfort. I give everyone as many opportunities as I can to develop them. So we've got a lot of new leadership things aren't always sexy and clean and smooth, but people are growing. And I think at a more rapid pace than before we sent.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool to watch.
Yeah, well, you have to fill the gaps. I only know from watching because I didn't experience that necessarily. I've experienced leadership transitions on staff, but never an exodus, if you will, when high-level leaders leave. So I'm glad for people like you to fill in those gaps, that we need good people at home, right? The mother church has to be healthy. Otherwise, we can't continue to send.
Yeah.
And the mother church has to keep training. And some of that training isn't just academic, but experiential. Like, hey, let's lead a ministry. Let's plan a meeting. Let's get better preaching. Why are you smiling?
No, it's just funny. You're saying these things, I've thought them too, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, Michael was on here recently, your co-pastor at Oakland Heights. We talked a little bit about training and the process that we have for developing people. Seth was on here recently, who oversees training at Decatur Baptist. And we get to be process oriented. I'm not saying that those guys were, but we can be. But when people go and you have to fill gaps with bodies, it's like, okay, you're in charge. That's like real life experience that if that person ever plants a church one day, they're going to need to have owned something first.
Yeah, I kind of see things through that lens. Like, it was all fun and games to actually sent a team. It was like, oh man, now it's real. And so it's really changed the way I view the leaders that I have and the places that I have them. I now see them all through the lens of they could be on a team one day as the pastor or supporting that pastor, and getting to see what it looks like at Portland. It helps us to better see what the needs will potentially be.
Yeah.
I think we did a really good job developing the people that came. I say we, the Lord knew what he was doing. He's used the process. We've just been faithful to the word, and it's been true. But as we sent this team and we see what that looks like, it starts to shape how we train the next batch.
Yeah, we can talk about that another time. I love the thought of preparing people for church planning. What should we be doing? Maybe we can talk about that for a second, though, because you got to see both sides of this. You got to be on staff and watch a church be planted, and then come and visit it after it's got started, right? And before we even got started, you were on our first survey trip, like us together running around Portland and getting wild. I remember you and Larry Murphy like riding scooters around. Just being goofballs, just enjoying the city, having a good time. But you've seen this whole thing all the way through. What's something that you observe? I think we're too close to it to tell what we're doing, if we're doing it good or right or whatever. What's something that you observe from before to now that you would say, man, if we're going to send another team, they need to be ready in this kind of way? You have any thoughts on that?
I do. Maybe the main thought that I have is we need people to be, we need to get out of this specializing in ministry mindset. When you're in an established church like Oakland Heights, we're a big body. We've got a lot of developed leaders and a lot of people who can do a lot of things. And so it's really easy to just, for a few reasons. One of those reasons that we tend to get into this specialist mindset where I specialize in this and we have someone doing this one thing is because people need places to serve. And as we make disciples, part of that process, that third goal is to be established in the work. So we need to find people places to serve. And sometimes that turns into, we need to give them a responsibility so they do that. So an example would be in our kids ministry in Awana, we would have our class leader teaches the lesson, and then their number two or their assistant, whatever you want to call them, the second person in there, helps with, managing the class, helping kids memorize their verses and things like that. But then we'd have a games person who would do the game. So the class leader and their assistant would go and they'd take in the kids, check them in the iPad and all this stuff. And then you got a check-in person who does all that. And then the teacher who teaches the lesson, the games person does the games, and everyone had like their piece of it. But what I realized is that, people were so dependent on the specialist that it was almost like, it's not my job, not out of a bad attitude, but we kind of conditioned people to, oh, that's not my job. And even, I don't know how to do that. There's someone who leads the song time, someone who leads the game. I teach the lesson. My assistant checks off which verses they did, and someone else is out there to check parents in. And so everyone kind of has a small piece, but nobody really knows the start to finish process. And when you're in a church planning environment, when you're on that team and you don't have a well-oiled machine and you don't have 50 disciples that all need something to do, you kind of got to do it all.
Right.
And I was just talking to your guy, Austin, tonight about, he was saying that he feels very privileged to get to be a part of it. He said, like, I get to be in a leadership meeting. I have no business being in a leadership meeting, but it's a small church plan. It's all hands on deck, and I get to do that. And those are the cool things you get to experience, but also those are the necessary things you have to do on a church plan. And so I get to see that. So one of the things that I've changed in Awana is I took away that everyone being a specialist. Each class got the whole piece of the pie. I said, this is your class. And so I want to instill a culture of being, of ownership.
Yeah.
I want to instill ownership in every leader. This is my class. These are my kids. And it's not someone else's job to make sure that there's a game tonight. It's not someone else's job to make sure that there was a song happening or that they got checked in. These are my kids, and it's my flock. And I also want them to get that mentality, because I want them to be shepherds, not hirelings. I don't want them to be specialists. I want them to shepherd their group. So I want them to think through the start to finish process. If there's nobody else doing that, what happens? If no one comes ready for a game, what happens with your kids? And so I took away all that stuff. And so each class, now all of Sparks, you got 3 different classes that all play games at the same time. So they work together. And I told them, you guys are going to work together. You decide what game time looks like. Don't ask me. That's y'all's. So they work at it together, and so they no longer get to fall back on someone else is going to do that.
So you don't have a games person anymore.
I brought in TJ Sticka to help with games. Cause he needs an opportunity to interact with some souls. He's like super tech savvy. He's really good with AV things, but I wanted to get him out from behind the screens and give him some souls to interact with. I bet he does great. Oh, he does fantastic. Yeah. I saw he's really starting to fall in love with those kids and start to make buddy. They love him. Wow. He's a gentle giant, and he's got that little whistle thing. He's got the game
thing going on.
Yeah. So he helps with that, because all of our leaders in that age group that plays first are all lady leaders. And so they came to me when I had pitched that and said, we're down. We love it. Whatever you ask is our command. Super submitted church. I'm so thankful for my leaders. They love the Lord and they honor their leaders. But they did say, with that age group, you got some of them 2nd grade boys that need a male authoritative figure. So that's where TJ came in. I was looking for a place for him. And I said, how about TJ can come in there and be that? So he kind of helps reinforce, when kids get unruly, that male supporting the authority is helpful. Yeah. It's been really good for him. Only 3 weeks in, I can already see what a difference it's making in him.
So some of the cross training, if you will, comes out of necessity for, hey, AV guy, now you get to help kids play games, right?
Yeah.
But that's so necessary, because once we get here, we have the opposite of that. Actually, your brother David led children's ministry. He came here. Now he leads AV.
Yeah. and that's why I want that diversity, because, TJ's super gifted in that area, and he's such a blessing to our church. But it'd be a disservice to just say, oh, you're good at that, let's hide you there and never develop you. So I wanted to challenge him. But in that mindset of, if we're going to plant more churches, and any of you guys could be on that team, you need to be able to do more than one thing. Yeah. Because like I saw tonight, all the kids, there's six kids, right? You got 6 kids. And I only saw Jay leave with them. I don't know, maybe there's someone else, but
there was a second person.
So there's 2 people. There wasn't 2 people plus a games person plus a worship person plus there was this 2 people. Right. And they had an hour or whatever the time frame was. So I really want our people to be developed in, whether it's kids ministry or whatever ministry it is. I'm trying to develop my people and get them just out of that specialist mentality. But we can be all hands on deck. There's nothing that's not my job. Yeah.
Well, I just want to validate that. Once you land here, there's just a lot of stuff you're going to have to do. Yeah. That if you can figure out AV, that's super helpful. Someone's got to do some stuff. I click my own slides with a clicker just to save them from running another thing, but someone has to set it up. They do it to help me, at least. I'm super thankful for that. If you can play an instrument, learn how to do that better, because here, like tonight, we only had keyboard. right? We had church tonight. Nathan, my disciple, is out in Georgia. He's like switched places with you.
He's in my house. Yeah.
He's literally living
in my house right now.
Yeah. How bizarre. Yeah. But anyway, he plays acoustic. He's not here right now. And so we feel it when one person's out, or sometimes I play guitar, but not always. We don't have a drummer. I'd love to have a drummer, it'd be great. So if people are thinking about church planning, figure out how to do a lot of different stuff, especially, again, please play an instrument. That'd be great. Yeah. We could really use that. But kids is another good one. Like here, our disciples don't know any different. We're just saying this is just what we're doing. And they're learning on the ground. This is how you plant churches. I don't know. We do whatever's next, do whatever I'm told, do whatever, wherever I can fit in. And when you find faithful people like Austin, they're ready. He's bought in. I'm thankful for Austin and Talia. They've been awesome. That's not everybody. And we want to be careful just on our end, even in our desperation, that we're not just installing people to leadership or doing something just because it needs done. Mm-hmm. Austin's being discipled. He's got someone with his hands on him. He's not technically leading anything, but he's helping serve. So that's super critical. And even though we're new, we have our own growth process that we want people on. So super thankful for them, but definitely cross-train. Do as many things as you can.
I even think about like the kids, your kids, I think maybe Bingham was doing slides or something. I saw Watson up at the altar praying tonight. And I remember even as a kid, I grew up on the mission field, and I think I was in 3rd grade when I started helping to lead praise and worship from the front. Started playing guitar and bass.
You were playing guitar in 3rd grade up front.
Yeah, I think so. I know I started playing in 3rd grade. It wasn't long after that. I was able to, like, we had some youth events. I think I got to play with my brother who led the band, even though I wasn't in youth group yet.
Wow.
And that's a rare opportunity. Like at Oakland Heights, that wouldn't happen. And so there's certainly, you want to be careful with, pushing people too far. And there's some things that may not be the wisest choice. But, I think about like, we've got a high school student right now. I think he's in 10th grade, but he plays the drums. And I think about what if his family went with a church plant? And you're saying I'd kill for a drummer. Well, if he was with his family now, you'd probably be getting him on the drums, teaching him. I'm thinking about Jedi Stevens, he could, I think about this environment, he could easily join your band. He's played a little bit in our high school band. He could have been your drummer. So I think about, well, what if God calls like a family like that? So I also try to be mindful of even my students. What are their skill sets? Are we challenging them, giving them opportunities, not just, oh, that's big church. When you're an adult, you'll serve there. But we got students, I think maybe even a couple middle schoolers that like help with nursery and things with adults. And I want to get them used to that, because if God calls a family out, well, guess what? That family has kids, and those kids are a part of the mission. What can they bring to the table? How can they be used? And not just following their parents, but actually go to be a part of the mission as well. So I'm trying to think about that as well. How can we develop our kids? So we got young people that have skills, and we want to hone those into.
Yeah. Well, we've been the recipient of that from you. Jay was in your high school band when you led student ministry, right?
Right.
And she helped lead the band or do whatever she was doing there. And then when she came here, we installed her as our worship leader.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for all the skills that she learned, whatever you invested in her. We've had to keep learning things, but she came with a base that was operational. And I'm super grateful for that. So there are people at home churches, sending churches, that are going to invest and perhaps not even get a return on that investment. Like it's going to go somewhere else and pay dividends down the road later. So we're super thankful for that.
Yeah. I think it helps them to buy in too. Not only can those kids be a blessing to the church, but if those kids can learn how to serve and be a part when they get to go be a part of a church plant, as someone who went because my parents said we're moving to Mexico, there was no family vote, and also I was like 2 when we started the process, but I struggled as a teenager even though I was involved, I struggled with a lot of do I care about the fact that my parents were called to this or don't I, and I wrestled with some rebellion as a teenager, but I think if those kids of whoever's on that team can contribute and be a part of the mission, I think that's crucial, because they're not Yeah, there's submission to parents where your parents go, yeah, because you're a kid, your primary command in scripture is to obey and honor your parents. But I think it's important that they be a part of that mission. And so I think as the mother church, those are things I'm conscious of, having been there and watching the kids that are on this church plan. I want to help as well in any way we can, prepare them at the mothership too, so that if any of them go, they can be a part of the mission.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm super thankful for that. What's Atlanta look like? You know, you planted Portland a year ago, and Atlanta's in the queue. So is Oakland Heights ready to plant again?
I don't know. That's a good question. You know, over the past year, I've wondered several times, like, were we ready to do that? You know, when you're in the wake of it, and all of you guys left, and I think you put it earlier, picking up the pieces. It felt that way. There were a lot of times where I thought, man, this was a mistake. We should have held on to another year, you know, even though it's not my call. You know, I'm a pastor. I'm not James. It wasn't my decision when and where. And I'm not even saying that I question that decision. But, you know, when you send a bunch of we always say we sent our best, and we do. And that's how it's always going to be. We're going to send our best. And so it does leave you wondering, man, was that a mistake? Did we send them too early? Should we have developed them, the next guy, a little more? And there's always going to be these types of questions. But I did wonder there for a while if we sent you guys too early. Or maybe we should have held back, you know, this team member or that one. Maybe they could have gone a year later, you know, whatever the case may be. In hindsight, I see where God knew what he was doing. I don't think it was a mistake. It was difficult, sure. But so with Atlanta, I don't know the answer to your question. I feel like we're not ready. But at the same time, I look back on this church plan and say, well, what do we know? I guess when the Lord says it's time, we're just going to trust him. I trust James. He's planted a church. James is extremely wise, and he walks with God, which is even better than being wise. He's got the Lord at the helm. So he's, not only is he extremely wise, he's extremely experienced, and he's not hasty, but he's also walking with God. So whenever it's time and we send, I'm trusting that James is not acting without God's word. So I know that if James says it's time, then I trust that it's time, and God's in that. But I do wonder, I don't know how long it'll be. Daniel's in Atlanta, and I'm not actually in most of those conversations. Michael and James, I think, meet with him periodically, but I'm trying. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll tell you, I'm trying to focus on. I got on my board, you know, deep in the bench, and one of the statements I have on there is, we have to be healthy so we can plant Atlanta. So I'm trying to do, as the in-reach guy, you know, what can I do to help the outreach guy who's about to send people out? I'm trying to feed that queue. You know, that's my job, is develop my people, get them all the experience I can, round them out as much as I can. Like the changes I talked about in Awana, try to get some people ready, because I don't know who God's going to call. I don't know who James and Michael are going to say, we could send them. I just don't know. So I'm trying to develop everyone and just know the state of my flock, know my leaders, and do my part of the puzzle. You know, be faithful in the area God's given me to steward, so that when Michael and James start grabbing people, I can say, here's someone, here's who we're developing. And just trying to make sure I'm good for my people.
Oh, that's sweet. The symbiotic relationship of the church is an organism, like everything touches everything else in some way. And when something happens, when a big change happens, we've all got to figure that out together. I love that, being on staff at Oakland Heights, as we functioned. Well, you and I really were never pastors at the same time on staff.
Like a month, maybe.
It was a short period of time.
I think you left in like March or April, and I was ordained in February.
But like, as far as decision making and stuff goes, the pastors make decisions together in a pretty healthy way, I think. I'm super thankful for that. And it's not a fight for like, this is my ministry, that's your ministry, I don't really care. You know, you can't be healthy and do that. Like, everything affects everything else. So that's sweet that you guys are still functioning that way. Sometimes I miss those meetings that we had. Being on staff and slugging it out, working through issues together and all that. But we got our own issues now. They're totally different. They're like, how do we get people to church? That'd be great. We don't have 50 disciples. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, and we're blessed.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, Oakland Heights is great. I mean, I say all that. I'm not upset. I love Oakland Heights. When Michael was on, I said it was like some of the best years of my life. Just dream time.
Yeah.
Thankful. We worked hard to get it to that, though. It was kind of jacked up for a little while, and it's good now. Yeah. So what's next, man? What's on the horizon, like, for the future in ministry?
For me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm settling into my new role, just leading my people. I don't know. That's a good question. Got some thoughts that I shouldn't put out on the air. I've got suspicions. There's been things that God's shown me in recent months, even, where it makes me wonder what God's plan is. And you made the comment earlier before we flipped on the mics that the things that we're doing in ministry that, oh, you're about to be a church planner. If you figure that out, God's going to send you somewhere. That's a frightening thought. There's a time where I would have said, man, if I'm still at Oakland Heights 10 years from now, then, Lord, just take me home. What am I doing here? I got to go. I got to be sent out. And I felt like it was a waste to just stay. But now God's really changed my heart, and he's just in the role. I would have never thought that I would be a pastor on staff at Oakland Heights. Never thought that I was going to live off of the tithes of that church. I thought I'd be raising support and going somewhere. I really did. And that may still happen. I could plant a church. I could get called to a foreign mission field, but for the first time over the last few years, I could see myself with white hair at Oakland Heights. If that's what the Lord wants, I no longer care about my geographical location. It used to have to be somewhere else. I got to go foreign, or haven't given God the entirety of my life.
Yeah.
But I've learned that the work is not a location, and I'm content right where I'm at. And so I could see myself at Oakland Heights for the long haul. And I've had people ask me, if I want to be a church planner, if I want to be a missionary, or if I want to be the lead pastor. And I really don't know. Honestly don't care too much. If I hold the same title, same salary, same office, all of that 30 years from now, still working under James, I'm happy. I don't need anything to change, but I'm not afraid for it to change. So God hasn't given me a lot of clarity on what's in the future, more than just the only vision I see is developing people. But, I talked earlier when we were walking down the street, I said I knew from day one that we landed here. That first day we walked through Portland, you were talking about this and that. And I knew you were coming here because you had a vision for it. And
you knew before I did.
I knew before you did. Also, I share an office with you, and you're so much like my wife.
True,
I can read you pretty well. And
I'm
knew
like your wife.
You're a lot like my wife in personality.
We are both like introvert kind of people. Yeah.
You guys have a lot of similarities. So I knew from day one that you were going to wind up here. But a lot of that was because you had a vision for it. I could see God was opening your eyes to what he wanted to do. And that vision hasn't changed. It's been over 2 years. And you've got the same vision. So all that to say, my vision's opening at Oakland Heights. I'm seeing further down the road than I ever have. I have dreams, aspirations I didn't have before for Oakland Heights, for what the mission looks like from the mothership. I see more Portlands. I see more Atlantas. The more James casts vision, the more I see my role in that. And so I do wonder what's in my future. For now, I'm not going anywhere.
Sure.
God's not told me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even mean anything by that. I was just thinking about it.
I think for me, what's next is to learn how to develop leaders. We got to send some people out. James has cast vision to, I think it's something like in his tenure at Oakland Heights, he wants to see 5 autonomous church plants is what he's asking the Lord for. And right now, my heart is knit to that vision. I see where my role is in that.
Yeah.
And I want to be a part of that. So I don't have any, when I think about that, I don't see myself as being one of those 5. Not that God can't make that happen. That's up to him. But I see my role in sending 5, not my role in being one of them.
Right.
So take that for what it's worth. God can change that. He's free to, and I'm submitted to it. But that's where I'm at now. I see that vision, and I'm excited about that vision. And I'm ready to give my entire life to that vision if that's what it takes. So
yeah. Praise the Lord, man.
Yeah.
I remember being on staff wanting to accomplish that vision as well. Like that was my plan until I came to Portland. So don't go on any more survey trips if you don't want to go anywhere.
Just gonna send other people. Send my cronies.
No, I'm good. I'm staying home, man.
I've done one.
I don't want any vision.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thankful, man. Somebody's got to be at home, keeping it healthy. The last thing we want while we're out here slugging it out is to think about things not going well back there. And I think it would just add a lot of grief and it'd be challenging. So we love you guys, but we don't think about you that much because we're slugging it out here trying to make things happen. So a healthy home church is just such a blessing. James is going to be on eventually, and we'll talk about what it's like to plant multiple churches or, from the senior pastor chair. It's a wonderful vision. Super thankful for it. Love James. Like, James is the man.
Yeah.
Grateful for you, man. I mean, who would have thought when I first showed up in Cartersville that we'd be sitting here doing this right now,
Crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to dream about this stuff.
We did. Yeah. When we shared an office, we talked about all kinds of stuff, man. The only thing that's different now is we don't have a guitar in our hands.
I know.
But there's one right over there.
One over there.
You haven't even seen that one yet.
No, it's a new one?
It's a Portland special.
I need to see it before I leave.
Yeah. Let's get it out. Yeah. Well, it's been great. Great to have you, man. Yeah. This was kind of unexpected. We didn't plan to film a podcast right now, but it's been sweet. It's been good catching up.
That's been good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's been cool. I think I needed this to process a lot of the stuff that's going on, being asked questions like when we were just talking over dinner earlier, and my brother and Lori asking me last night about kids ministry and how things are doing. Until I was forced to answer those questions, I really hadn't considered and thought through what God's done, how he has worked through. Because we think about the sending part, like, how are y'all doing? We're always asking you guys, how are you doing? How's Portland doing? How's Portland Gospel? Mm-hmm. And then we come here, and I think the way David said it last night is everybody wants a report from Portland about how we're doing, but we just want to report about Oakland Heights. How are y'all doing? You guys have left home, and you, in some ways, because you miss people, how is everyone doing? And from the other perspective, I know certainly from David and Lori's heart, they just wanted to know that the ministries they left are still thriving. Mm-hmm. And that was their concern last night. Because you hear about the difficulties. We all talk about that stuff. Yeah. And even in the church, unfortunately, it's the negative news that makes the headlines, more often than it should be that way. And so they just wanted to know how the ministries were doing. And in sharing and answering questions, I realized how much God has worked in the mother church. And we thought we sent them and God's going to use them and work through them and we'll recover. But really, the sending process was huge for our growth. We needed to send. Like I said before, we needed people to step up, but also it's something God's used in a lot of different ways. He's used it to prove people out. Sending has put pressure in different areas where God has he's used that pressure to test people, to prove people out, to reveal to leadership things that we didn't see before there was pressure. And when things were easy and we had all the established leaders rocking and rolling, there were things that were just hidden. And so in the sending process, it opened our eyes to see some things, and it forced others into positions that they wouldn't have been in. Yeah. And I think through this process, there was a time where I thought, man, we're struggling. And like I said a minute ago, we probably sent them too quickly. I don't know. Was this the right thing? Right. Only God and James maybe know. I don't know. I don't even know if we will ever know. But honestly, as I recollect and I look back at our church over the past year, and it's been 2 years since y'all left. No, it's a year since y'all left, right?
Yeah.
About a year since you guys left. And as I look back at it, it's clear that we didn't just send and recover. I think we thrived through the sending process in ways that I didn't recognize. So I'm very thankful for that. Sending is a healthy thing for a church. It's not just about those who are sent. It's not just about the new church plant. I think a local body needs to be a mother church. I mean, God uses the physical to illustrate the spiritual. And I think there's a reality too, just like every woman has a natural instinct to birth a child, to be a mom. my wife and I are looking into adoption, and we're wrestling with all that. There's this pain that comes with thinking I might never bear a child. It's not natural for a woman to never bear a child. What's natural is to bear a child. And I think it's unnatural for a church to exist until Jesus comes or until they cease to exist and never birth another church. It's unnatural to me. And I think biblically it's unnatural. And so as a church, we needed to plant a church. Just as much as Portland needed a church plant, I think we needed to.
Yeah. Well, as long as mom is healthy, right? Like things should function okay, and she should be able to reproduce. But a lot of churches aren't healthy.
Yeah.
A lot of churches are immature. They're not able. They're not training people like y'all with a deep bench. I mean, not everybody is, I know you're an Alabama fan.
Yeah.
Not everybody's got Alabama's bench, right? Like, hey, if this guy's injured, there's the next guy. And then there's the next, and then there's the next guy. And so we got to be keeping the bench going. What'd you say your phrase was for the bench?
Deep in the bench. I just got that on my board.
Deep in the bench. Yeah.
I need to deepen.
As long as you're doing that, I think you can plant and recover and be healthy.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that, you're just going to plant and die.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no one after you. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, that analogy, that's true in that analogy too. If a woman doesn't grow to maturity where she can, that's also unnatural. That a woman never grow to maturity where she could mother a child. Like it's natural that you grow to maturity and then you bear a child.
Yeah.
And so it's unnatural for a church not to bear a child. It's also unnatural for a church never to be able to. You should, if you're doing things biblically, well, the natural byproduct of that is reproduction. If a church is doing things the way God told them to, well, that's the command, is to go ye therefore. So if you can't ever send someone therefore, then something's wrong. And so I'm thankful that it's not to say that, we got it right at Oakland Heights and no one else does. God's been really good to us. God's taught us a lot. He has sent us men who have brought discipleship to us. And even as I look back to Oakland Heights, discipleship came to us. God sent Joe from Decatur Baptist, but someone was sent to Decatur Baptist back before I was born. And my parents were sent out of Decatur Baptist because someone sent discipleship there. And so God's just good like that. He gets all the praise and the glory for it. It's not because we're great.
I just want to clarify, when you say discipleship, we're talking about one-on-one mentoring, one person making a disciple that's then able to make a disciple. And that's a core philosophy of our church and our fellowship of churches, that discipleship is a central ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's what Paul said. You have many instructors, but you need fathers. And discipleship is the spiritual fathering or mothering of taking what's been given to you and taking another man under your wing or another woman under your wing.
Turning boys into men.
Yeah. Cause I did the whole, I'm not trying to hate on Bible college, but I did the whole go to classes and learn a bunch of things. And it just didn't work. I needed a father. I was looking for that for about 5 years of my adult life. I would ask Sunday school teachers, pastors, professors in college, I just wanted somebody. I want to be a pastor one day. There's 20 pastors on staff at this big church I'm at. Would someone could you show me what it's like to be a pastor? Can I come hang out with you and work for you for free, be your assistant, whatever it takes. I want to see what ministry looks like, and couldn't find it until I found a church that has the discipleship process. It's a one-on-one at Oakland Heights. And I told Larry just the other day, he didn't know, but I had landed at Oakland Heights after 5 years of looking, and I met with Joe, and I can't remember how the conversation came about, but I had mentioned to him, like I'd mentioned to other men in my past, that I was just looking for someone to teach me how to read the Bible. I said, you preached on Sunday, how did you know what to say? At some point, a man sits before the Lord with an open King James Bible, and out of that came a sermon. How did that happen? Like, I read my Bible, I don't get any of that. I just wanted someone to teach me how to read and understand God's word and apply it to my own life. And so when Joe asked me about discipleship, I said, well, how much does that cost? He said, nothing. It's kind of the expectation that you do this. I was like, sweet. And he said, I'd like to pair you with this guy. His name's Larry Murphy. And I was like, yeah, I had lunch with him Sunday. Like he's my first friend here. And he said, he's an engineer, but he's going to teach you how to read the Bible. And I felt like I struck gold. I was like, finally.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked professors and pastors and Sunday school teachers. No one could help me with this.
Yeah.
But Cartersville, Georgia, mechanical engineer, met with me weekly for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, however long it was.
Yeah.
And out the other end of that, I knew how to read and apply God's word to my life.
Yeah.
And from there, it's all history. And I'm a pastor, and I'm a product of discipleship, a church that had men of God who were willing to be spiritual fathers to me. So that's discipleship. It's not a course, a curriculum, even really a program. Even though we've kind of made it into a structured thing to make sure that we're diligent and that we're overseeing it and inspecting it, but it's just spiritual parenthood.
Yeah. And now Larry's on staff with you, right?
Yeah. He's now on the other side of the cubicle with me.
He's in your old chair.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah. I can't even imagine what that's like because I left before that happened, but your discipler is now sharing an office with you, and that's cool, man.
It's cool. It's hard to get stuff done because we're too good of friends.
Well, it is. Yeah. When you like each other and you share an office, it is hard to accomplish anything. I remember when I used to come in the office, sometimes you would intentionally not say anything. Yeah. You were such a good office buddy because you knew that I needed to just please leave me alone. And when we start going, then we get really distracted and waste a bunch of time and all that. But I'm thankful for you, man. I'm thankful for Larry, for Oakland Heights. Like, y'all got to keep doing what you're doing. Stay faithful, stay at it. You're an inspiration to us. I've been able to bring 2 disciples now back to Oakland Heights to say, here's where we came from. Look, this is our family, and that culture and that vision is still going. It helps us get a dose of it and bring it back here in the people that we're bringing to visit. So, super thankful, man. Y'all got to stay healthy, get gray-headed, whatever you need to do, but stay healthy.
Yeah. Well, praise God. Well, you guys are an inspiration to us too. It's cool how God uses each of us, because at the mothership, it's easy for us to get complacent and sometimes forget the basics that you guys, if you guys forget the basics, y'all cease to exist here. Woe is you if you're not evangelizing. We forget that woe is us if we're not evangelizing. So I brought those 2 guys with us, and they came back with a passion for evangelism. And, some of the basics are easy to forget about in a big church where things are just doing their thing. You can become invisible real quick and forget that you have to be active. So it's super refreshing to come up here and see no excuse to not do the simple stuff. And it just sends us back inspired. We see guys like Austin, a young disciple, his wife saved a year or less, and out on the streets where it's not easy. We were here in May and got cussed at multiple times for sharing the gospel. We usually get thanked in Georgia for sharing the gospel. Thanks for sharing that with me. No one really asked me about that. I do know Jesus, but I'm thankful that you care enough to ask. That doesn't happen here. That's when we get there, yet we don't do it. It's crazy. So you guys are a challenge to us as well. It's healthy for us to come and see you guys too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you want to learn more, if church planning interests you, if you're on the West Coast, hit up portlandgospel.org. You can find us on our Planting Portland podcast website, wherever the links are around here. But we want to get our hands on men and train them and plant multiple churches as well. So reach out to us if you got any questions. Chris, it's been sweet, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. See you guys later.